Welcome to the bold analysis, not yet to what we call democracy. And it's not coming anytime soon. There is a report that has emerged that Azimio team are raising eyebrows about a commissioner who had resigned at IEBC but was spotted back in office doing official office duties, including signing documents and hiring and firing people. Some restructure going on. That report has been trending in social media for better part of the day. And I remember just today, the Senate trashed amendments by the Azimio team that were actually objecting, or rather removing, allocation or rather appointment of public service, a member from the public service, to sit in the IEBC Commissioners Selection Panel. Remember, initially, Parliamentary Service used to give 4, produce 4, Parliamentary Service Commission 4, LSK 1, then Church Inter-Church Council gives 2, so that was bringing it to 7. And according to amendments that were then passed in the National Assembly, was that Parliamentary Service was only going to produce 2, then the other 2 were to come from the public service. Then 1 come from political parties liaison, and then the church produces 1 and LSK 1. And while it was seen as a way of trying to move the spectrum, but it still increases the fact that, or rather it still shows the fact that selection of the new IEBC commissioner is still domiciled under the office of the president. And I'll have to look at that in some other analysis perhaps tomorrow. So someone asked me a question, Kevin, as Whistlower Chebukati is leaving, do you have an idea that the Kenya Kwanza administration have the person in mind that is going to be the next IEBC? Do you think the discussion on selection panel and all the way, the procedural, the procedure in the constitution is the way that is going to give us the new commissioner? I felt challenged, and by the way, you can ask yourself that question. Do you think selection panel we're talking about on this process is what is going to give us the next commissioner? Or the person is already known? I have a feeling person is already known. If you just look at the trend, the way people are being fired here and there, in the bit of that reorganization in different parastatals, there is no denial that the man that will take over will only be a surprise to Kenyans, but to the people, the power shakers and movers in this country, that person is already known. It only depends on how Raila Odinga team are going to maneuver their ways. Another whistleblower, according to me, is raising a question. Why did Abdigulie go back to the IEBC offices? And I think I've seen 2 tweets, one from, there are 2 tweets, one from Makau Mutua and also Robert Alai. And they were talking about the presence of that one commissioner. This is a bit raising speculation because they had left office on Monday, 17th, and they they completed their term. I don't know if that's called retiring, so it's not retirement, but they completed their term, their tenure, their 7 years tenure at the poll body, and both of them had left. And according to general understanding, that they ought to have packed their things, and even if there is clearance, in college you'll go out and find a clearance, or if there is a clearance that is supposed to be done, what Kenyans would expect is that they would have done that. So what's in radar? Is it a coincidence that's going on? And one thing we have to see is that people are really keen on what's happening at the polls body. Is it a coincidence in terms of the latest developments? Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and also like our video. From just this Mia, I know it's not a bit, it could not be a big deal because hata mtu unaweza maliza na kesho ukuje usalimiane hapa, do one here there. But if you see the fact that someone from within raised a report and maybe tipped the Azimio team that he's there, maybe he was not even there alone, maybe he was there with the others, and they just picked him, then it must show the level of mistrust and tension in that place. Why? There is a bit of that. Remember, Deputy CEO, I think is it Vice CEO, Ruth Kulundu, if I'm not wrong, if I've gotten that pronunciation well, had been at loggerheads with the outgoing commissioners and even the CEO with the CEO. And at one point, I think she was even almost being sacked from her job because she sided with the Azimio team, or rather, she was allegedly with the Cherera team and could have organized meetings with the Cherera behind the CEO, according to allegations that were there. And I remember at the moment, at the time the three commissioners were leaving, the very day on Monday, there was a report that circulated all over social media. I think that was by Opiyo Wandayi, that there were behind the scene moves to make sure that she's actually removed from the office, that she's been maybe terminated from the office. So this discussion has been going on, and that is why when they are saying these commissioners are coming, it shows you the kind of mistrust we have there and tension. This could have been just one of those usual visits, of course, going to maybe picking some of your few files here and there, but because of that, you can see what's going on. And in fact, it shows that pulse body, there is a lot of work that needs to be done there. It's not enough about just replacing commissioners. It needs an overhaul so that the new office bearers that comes starts from a clean state. Now, this report brings into focus the whistleblower expose. The whistleblower expose that was released yesterday is trying to show some things that maybe did not go right. And they really try, actually in that whistleblower report, they put, the person decided to put the three commissioners on radar, that they were on the wrong. So what that also shows you is that maybe there is a necessity of contingency on counter strategies on that, because their names are all over there. You never know. According to what I read in that whistleblower is, the Vanguard Africa was just a platform. If you read, well, the information in that website, whistleblower, ibcwhistleblower.org, if I'm not wrong, if you read that website, that story, you will realize that there is someone who is speaking there as an insider, as someone who was within the IEBC, whether it's a fabrication or not, but the person speaking that is like, I was an employee and I was at the center of the last general election, head of operations at the last general election. So, I see that when that whistleblower, when that report comes out and there is a bit of that suspicion, and I know within IEBC, it's just out here that people are trying to dismiss and give different conspiracy theories on that matter. But within the commission, people have now started looking at inaweza kuwa ni nani, ni huyu ama si huyu, ni huyu ana ni huyu. So when you see that commission coming around, when you see a commission around, and maybe you know that there is already talks within the place that it could be person X, or it could be person W, or it could be this. I want to believe that in the terms of election management, electronic election management structures, I don't think everyone else have an access. So if you're to narrow down, go to IEBC and narrow down, okay, who can be this person in charge of this? It will not be a mirage. It will not be difficult. It's something you can just trace and come out. And so this can also be, when it makes that technical appearance, it sends some shivers, so that if someone wants to do something, still feel like, okay, tunadhani wameenda kumbe hawajaenda, they're still around. I'm just trying to make that that point by a bit speculative. But then, are there pending transactions that might have are so pushing necessary that has to be done. Are there something still pending that must be done? Maybe if there is so, within the law, if there is any transaction, official duty that maybe they will conduct after leaving office, it will only be interpreted, it will only be understood in the corridors of the law, of the courts, because that will be it. We've seen reports in this country where people leave office and ridiculous documents and appointments and firings are done even after they leave. So if that will be it, we may be there, wait and see. It's a matter of wait and see, but can it show a sense of entitlement that, okay, serikali ni yetu, so there is nothing we can do, whether we can come or cannot come. You also say they're heroes. I saw a ridiculous statement. I think there was one person who was asking, he wanted to remain. I don't know who was that commissioner who wanted to remain, and the president was saying that now instead of remaining, you just rather change the. I know that was a commission of someone from the IEBC. Then you will just rather change the workstation. I can tell you without an iota of doubt that President Ruto knows who is going to succeed Chebukati. And these fellows that have left were at the center of elections in 2016 and 2017. If there is something that did not go on right, if there is a deal they hatched with either of parties in those two elections, they can, and that script is still available on table, then they may not be away. Raila or Ruto will still want them to coach the next team, if indeed something like that is going on. But I have a feeling that because we know who is coming, it's not a surprise. Because we know it's only us who don't know, but because the administration, Kenya Kwanza, knows very well. And even if people don't know, then the president himself knows very well that wherever he kazi naenda kukupea. I know leadership, and it's that's how government is run. In public, it's run by the law, what the law says, what the constitution says, what the parliamentary orders says. But behind the scene, calls are made and promises are made politically. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the next.